A very good morning to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on a Friday morning. I hope you've all had a really good week and looking forward to the weekend, especially tonight when we've got quite a number of things happening. We've got the draw for the Europa League happening later on this morning. Do join me for that. I'm going to go live to do the draw to see who we're going to be playing against in the Europa League. And of course, tonight we've got Luton Town. We're playing them away. Their first ever Premier League home game. And if we win that, we go top of the league. That'll be quite exciting as well. And of course, we've got the end of the transfer window. Thank goodness for that. The transfer circus is hopefully, well, not hopefully, it is going to end later on tonight at 11 o'clock UK time and not before time, I hear you say. Look, if you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button, the bell notification, and the like button. The bell notification will let you know when I'm next doing a show. So please do that. It certainly helps the channel. Look, the transfer window, it's certainly been a roller coaster ride, hasn't it? Where it started off with us selling the number 41 to a North London club, and it kind of escalated from there, didn't it? Perhaps many of us thought that it was going to be a bit of a doom and gloom transfer window, especially when all we kept hearing was one negative story after another. You know, we heard the likes of Gianluca Scamacca wanted to leave, and then apparently an avalanche of players that were at the club, that were bought in the club last summer, all apparently also wanted to leave. And I guess in the end, the damage wasn't as bad as we kind of thought. Scamacca did leave, Declan Rice did leave, Manuel Lanzini did leave, and Flynn Downs has gone on loan to Southampton. All right, we sold other players. We lost Nikola Vlasic and Arthur Masuaku as well. But given that they were both out on loan last season, I can't really say that they were much of a loss for us. But the one thing that we did do is we managed to keep our Brazilian dynamo, Lucas Paquetá, in the most curious of ways. I'm not going to go into the detail about the betting scandal, etc., etc. But look, we're not complaining, although we may well complain when he's destined to leave this time next summer. So with 6 players gone, well, you could argue 6 players gone. I still think it was only 4. Were we going to replace them like for like? Many would say that we went beyond like for like this season with just around, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 hours to go before the transfer window shuts. Many fans are saying it's been one of the best transfer windows that we can remember. The signing of Edson Alvarez, the signing of James Ward-Prowse, Dinos Mavropanos, and of course the icing on the cake, Mohamed Kudus earlier this week as well. So I think, in a way, we kind of spent the money well. We got about 130 odd million pounds in for the players that we sold. And we've spent most of that already. I think there's something like 15 odd million pounds left, and we haven't done too badly. But many sources are saying that there's still some last minute bit of business to do with a bit of tidying up in the squad, with potentially up to 5 players leaving, with maybe 2 coming in. But are we really going to do that much business on the last day of the transfer window? I think there will be movement, but perhaps not nearly as much as people expect. If anything is going to happen, it's likely to be for a defender and an attacking player coming in and leaving. And more specifically, the defender position is likely to be a left back. So who is in line to leave? Well, if the stories are all to be true, we've still got apparently the fringe players that have been mentioned: Ben Johnson, Aaron Creswell, Pablo Fornals, Maxwell Cornet, and Danny Ings. I'm not so sure all 5 of those players are going anywhere near the exit door. The main danger also with those 3 of those 5 names is that 3 are classed as homegrown talent, which we need to have a minimum of 8 in the squad when we hand in the 25-man squad, the official 25-man list. So that means if we sell anyone like Creswell or Johnson or Ings, we're going to have to look for a homegrown player to come in to replace them. Now, there are a number of clubs interested, apparently, in the Premier League and in the Championship, interested in Ben Johnson. And apparently, Wolves are still holding out an interest for Aaron Creswell. Now, should one of these players leave, as I don't think both will, but should one of them leave, then our interest in replacing them includes Chelsea left backs Ian Maatsen and Mark Cucurella, and of course the Juventus left wing back, Filip Kostic, who Moyes had an interest in last summer. Now, as I touched on, the drawback is if we sell, let's say, Creswell or Johnson and bring Kostic in, that means we're one man down on the 8 classified homegrown players that we need for the squad. Therefore, the smart money for me would be trying to get Ian Maatsen in, because Maatsen has been through the Chelsea youth development system and is classed as a homegrown talent. However, if we target Kostic, perhaps Johnson and Creswell might still stay, because we may look to move on a non-homegrown player to accommodate the Kostic move. And the obvious player on the list could be Maxwell Cornet. Now, Cornet, he's played in the same position as Kostic as a left wing back. I know he can play up front as well, etc. But Cornet is almost a like for like for Kostic. Look, with severe injuries last season, it's just not worked out for Cornet, has it? And apparently Sean Dyche wants to reunite with the player over at Everton. If I were a betting man, in order to make space for Kostic, I think it's Cornet that might seem the more obvious choice, because retaining Johnson and Creswell will actually not only allow him the homegrown numbers that he needs in the squad, but it would actually give him options in defence to be able to play wing-back systems, flat back four, etc., both in the cup competitions and in the Premier League. Yeah, sure, we may lose money by allowing Johnson and Creswell to run their contracts down, but there is always a chance that we may finally get Johnson to sign a new extended contract, and probably Creswell might be allowed to leave in the January window, much in the same, for a nominal fee, much in the same way as we allowed Craig Dawson to leave last January. Then we have the issue of trying to bring in a striker to the club, and the scattergun approach has been in full flow for this position. Earlier, this week, when we finally signed Kudus, when that deal was completed, we'd heard that Tim Steiden had flown out to Brazil to sign Yuri Alberto from the Corinthians. But instead, Steiden returned on his jet plane with no photo of himself, nor the player, nor any agent either. Was it worth it? I don't know. It looked like a bit of a long shot to fly all the way to Brazil to sign a player that didn't have any Premier League experience. Yeah, I know he played in Europe for Zenit, but not quite the same when it comes to what Moyes wants. It's way too late now to focus on trying to bring a Brazilian striker to the club. So apparently, the search for a striker has been brought a lot closer to home, with, of course, the name again on everyone's lips is PSG striker Hugo Akitike. Now, do I think he'll fit into the Moyes style of football? No, I really don't. I don't think he'll be anywhere near the type of player that David Moyes wants in his setup. But is there any point then just buying a striker for the sake of it? For me, I don't think there is. I still think we've got enough firepower within the squad in order to not get a striker in just for the sake of getting one in. Look, who are we going to get the goals from? We know we can't really rely on Antonio to stay fit or in form for the whole season. It can happen, but what if it doesn't? Well, I think we've got options in addition to Antonio, with the likes of Bowen and Kudus, who can both play up front as well as out wide. And of course, we've got young Divine Mbama, who can also slot in up front. And there's so much, we're crying out for the youngsters to get a chance. And this could be Mbama's opportunity. Will he get that opportunity? I think he might do a few minutes here and there in cup competitions to build up his confidence. Why not? I haven't included Danny Ings in the list of players that could stand in up front, but that's because Sean Dyche not only wants to reunite with Cornet, he also wants to bring Danny Ings to Everton as well. Again, though, just like the issues with Johnson and Creswell, if Ings goes, we've got that issue again of being down on the 8 homegrown players that we need in order to satisfy or the regulations when we hand in our 25-man squad. So even if we did get a Akitike, we would have to consider another non-homegrown player to leave in order to make way for the young French striker. And the only other player that we could think of really to make way at the moment is Pablo Fornals. Now, to be quite honest with you, I'd much rather keep Fornals than bring a Akitike in. I think Fornals would be much more useful to the squad than the Akitike would. That's no disrespect to Akitike. It's just that I don't think, like I said, he'll necessarily fit into David Moyes' style of football. As it stands, we have actually got 9 homegrown players currently in the squad because that includes Mbama. But I don't think Mbama is going to be named as part of the 25-man squad. So we have the issue of making sure that we've got enough homegrown players in the squad. But potentially losing 2 homegrown players will create an issue for us. I would watch out for what the team news will be tonight against Luton, who's going to be playing and who's going to be on the bench. Because if any of those 5 players I've named aren't included, you can then safely assume that they're quite likely to be on their way to sign for a new club. As for replacements, I actually don't think we're going to bring 2 players in. I think it's going to be 1 out, 1 in. Even though I've got the name of the show, 2 in, 2 out, I think it's going to be 1 in, 1 out. And the player I think is coming in is going to be Kostic, and the player I think is going to be leaving is going to be Cornet. Right, that's it. Do watch out for the Europa League draw, which I think it starts at midday. No, I don't think. I know it starts at midday. So do look out for that. And also look out for any of the videos I might put up at the game at Luton tonight. I always put a quick video up if we score. Fingers crossed we will. Fingers crossed we win the game. I think we'll be a bit of a different game tonight. I think we might take the game to Luton a little bit more than we have done in the first 3 games of the season. And I think we will win. And I think we will go temporarily top of the league. Why not? Why not stay there for the whole season? Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Like I said, if you like the channel, please do hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell notification to let you know when I'm next on. And I'll see you all very soon.